The first thing my brother grabbed after our father's funeral wasn't a family photo. It was paperwork. I noticed that before I even noticed the rain. Everybody else stood around the cemetery doing what people always do after funerals. Quiet handshakes. Forced hugs. Those strange little phrases nobody actually feels when they say them. He lived a good life. He's at peace now. Meanwhile, my older brother Travis was already standing beside a black SUV talking to an attorney with a leather folder tucked under his arm like somebody might steal it if he loosened his grip for 2 seconds. That stayed with me. Not because it shocked me exactly. Because honestly, by then, nothing about Travis surprised me anymore. My name's Nolan Pierce. I'm 47 years old, and until last year, I lived in the same farmhouse my grandfather built back in 1952. White porch railing. Crooked hallway floors. Rusted weather vane Dad kept promising to fix for 15 years. That house held everything. Every birthday. Every Christmas morning. Every storm where Mom lit candles because the power lines out near the fields always gave up first. Dad used to say something when we were kids. A house remembers people. Back then I thought he was just being sentimental. Turns out he was right. Travis never really cared about that stuff though. To him, the farmhouse was land value. Acreage. Equity. Different language entirely. About 2 weeks after Dad passed, Travis invited me over to talk about estate matters. That phrase alone made my stomach tighten. I walked into Dad's old dining room and immediately noticed the recliner was gone already. Dad's chair. The faded brown one near the fireplace where he drank coffee every morning for almost 20 years. In its place sat some expensive modern leather chair that looked completely wrong in that room. Vanessa, Travis's wife, sat quietly near the kitchen doorway smiling one of those polished smiles that never quite reaches the eyes. Bank manager smile. Cold. Travis folded his hands together like he was leading a business meeting. So, he said casually, the estate paperwork's finalized. I nodded slowly. Okay. Then he slid papers across the table. Dad left the house to me. Just like that. No build-up. No emotion. Rain tapped softly against the windows while I stared down at the documents trying to process what I was reading. What about me? I finally asked. Travis shrugged. You got the truck. I honestly thought he was joking for half a second. Dad's old Ford pickup had almost 200,000 miles on it and a radio that only worked when humidity dropped below 70%. I laughed once before realizing Travis wasn't laughing back. Vanessa crossed one leg over the other carefully. Your father believed Travis was better equipped to manage the property. Manage the property. Interesting phrase. People use corporate language when they're trying to disguise cruelty as responsibility. I looked at Travis. You're serious. Nolan, he sighed, Dad trusted me with financial decisions. You know that. No. Dad trusted Travis with paperwork because Travis talked non-stop about paperwork. Big difference. But I stayed calm. That seemed to throw him off a little. Guys like Travis expect shouting because shouting makes them feel justified. Instead I just asked, when do I need to leave? 30 days should be enough. Vanessa actually looked relieved after I said that. That part bothered me later. Like they'd prepared themselves for some giant ugly confrontation. Truth is, part of me wanted one. But grief drains people in strange ways. You stop wasting energy on scenes that won't fix anything. So I packed quietly. Mom's recipe box. Dad's fishing tackle. Photo albums from before everybody got older and complicated. Every room felt smaller while I boxed things up. One night I sat alone on the porch around 2 in the morning listening to cicadas scream across the fields while rain drifted through the trees near the barn. That porch used to feel permanent. Funny how quickly permanence disappears once lawyers get involved. My friend Celia came by several times to help. We grew up together down the road. Smart woman. Probate attorney now over in Richmond. One afternoon she watched me wrap dishes in newspaper for about 10 minutes before finally asking the obvious question. You really believe your dad intentionally left you almost nothing? I shrugged. I don't know what to believe anymore. But honestly? Neither did I. Because Dad wasn't emotional with words, but he was fair. Extremely fair. The kind of man who split restaurant checks down to exact cents because principle matters. Leaving one son the entire property and giving the other an old truck didn't sound like him. Celia noticed that too. You ever actually see the original will? She asked. I stopped taping a cardboard box. No. Silence settled between us for a second. Then Celia said quietly, "That's interesting." 3 days later she called me while I was loading boxes into a storage unit outside town. Something feels off here. Her tone changed immediately. Apparently the will Travis submitted had only been signed 6 months earlier while Dad was heavily medicated after surgery. But what mattered more were the witnesses. Both signatures belonged to employees from Travis's real estate office. Yeah. That got my attention fast. Celia stayed careful with her wording. Attorneys do that when they smell problems but can't prove them yet. Still, before hanging up she said one sentence that shifted everything. You should search the house carefully before you leave. That's when I knew this situation was probably gonna get messy. Dad kept everything. Instruction manuals from the 1980s. Rusted coffee tins full of receipts. Entire drawers packed with folded warranties for appliances nobody owned anymore. If another will existed, odds were decent Dad hid it somewhere strange. So for the next week, I searched quietly while Travis focused on renovations and contractor estimates like the farmhouse was already some luxury resort project. He talked constantly about turning part of the property into high-end rental cabins. Dad hadn't even been gone a month. One evening I climbed into the attic above the garage looking for old tax records. Dust everywhere. Summer heat thick enough to chew. Near the back wall sat Dad's old military footlocker. I almost skipped it. Then I noticed the latch wasn't fully closed. Inside were photo albums, service medals, and underneath everything else, a sealed envelope with my name written across the front in Dad's handwriting. My hands actually shook opening it. Inside sat the original will. Signed 11 years earlier. Properly notarized. Legally clean. And according to that document, the farmhouse and land were supposed to be divided equally between Travis and me. There was also a folded handwritten note beside it. Boys. The house belongs to both of you because family should never become a competition after I'm gone. If you're reading this, something probably already went wrong. That line hit harder than the will itself. I sat alone in the attic for maybe 20 minutes staring at the paper while dust floated through sunlight near the roof vent. Honestly, some small part of me still wanted to believe Travis misunderstood something. Then I remembered the funeral. The leather folder. The rush. The 30 days. No. This wasn't confusion. This was greed wearing a suit. Celia reviewed everything the next morning. Her expression tightened immediately. This changes a lot. Apparently replacing an original will with a manipulated version creates serious legal consequences once evidence surfaces. Especially when questionable witnesses and financial pressure get involved. Celia filed motions quietly. No drama yet. No confrontation. Patience matters in situations like that. Emotional people rush. Calm people gather leverage. Meanwhile Travis kept acting like he already owned history itself. New furniture deliveries arrived weekly. Contractors walked through the property taking measurements. Vanessa posted renovation inspiration online calling the farmhouse our forever estate. That almost made me laugh. Then came the family barbecue. Perfect timing, honestly. About 3 weeks later, Travis hosted relatives at the farmhouse with catered food spread across picnic tables Dad built decades earlier. I showed up carrying potato salad because Southern families stay weirdly normal even during betrayal. Travis spotted me immediately. His smile tightened. "Nolan," he said carefully. "Didn't expect you." "Still family," I answered. Vanessa looked nervous instantly. Smart woman. Halfway through dinner, Travis stood near the porch giving one of his speeches about protecting Dad's legacy. That phrase nearly made my eye twitch. Protecting. Guy already removed half Dad's furniture. Then he raised his beer and said, "Dad trusted me to preserve what he built." That's when I finally stood up. Not angry. Honestly, just tired. "I don't think Dad trusted you nearly as much as you keep pretending." The yard got quiet fast. Travis frowned. "Excuse me?" I handed the original will to Celia, who stepped forward calmly from beside the porch. The energy changed immediately. You could feel people realizing something serious was happening. Travis lost color before Celia even started speaking. "This appears to be Mr. Pierce's legally executed original will," she said quietly. Nobody moved. Even the cicadas sounded louder somehow. Vanessa whispered, "Travis." But Travis already knew. You could see it in his face. That awful moment when arrogant people realize their confidence depended entirely on nobody checking the paperwork too closely. At first he denied everything. Then minimized it. Then blamed stress. Classic sequence. But facts don't really care about confidence once documents start stacking up. The legal fallout dragged on for months. Probate investigations. Civil penalties. Professional licensing reviews involving Travis's real estate business. Nothing dramatic like television. Just consequences arriving slowly and professionally. Honestly, that fit better anyway. Vanessa left about 6 months later. Turns out greed becomes less charming once money starts disappearing. The farmhouse eventually returned to joint ownership exactly like Dad intended. Funny thing is, I offered Travis a buyout afterward instead of forcing shared ownership. Not because he deserved generosity. Because I was exhausted. He accepted quietly during a meeting at Celia's office. Barely looked at me. No speeches. No apology. Just signatures. Last fall I sat alone on the porch watching rain drift across the fields while Dad's old truck cooled beside the barn. The same porch Travis tried pushing me away from completely. House felt peaceful again somehow. Like it had finally exhaled. I kept thinking about Dad's note. Family should never become a competition after I'm gone. Maybe that was the saddest part of all. The house remembered both of us. But only one of us remembered why it mattered in the first place.